Good afternoon and welcome, familia. Excuse me. So, oh, excuse me. So this is an oracle reading for this full moon in Sagittarius that comes to completion on Friday evening. So as usual, just asking for this reading, this transmission to be of the highest truth and light, to shed light, healing, and support for the energy under this full moon and how it may be influencing us collectively as well as individually. I'm asking for this to be a transmission of clarity and wisdom and full faith. Thank you. Okay, so I've pulled several decks here, and I've already gone through clearing them and shuffling them, and I'm just gonna shuffle a little bit to start out. And this has been happening like all day, cards just jumping out of the deck. Sorry, like I've got some incense going and it's kind of bothering me a little bit. It's making my throat kind of dry. So we're going to pull our first card for the collective energy, essentially. I'm curious to hear from you about what you're feeling with this full moon. It has unsuspectedly brought up some imbalances within my body. And I never would have thought. So I'm curious if anyone else is kind of surprised with the way that the moon is pulling on you. So our first card, this is a really positive card in my opinion. I mean, I think that they all are positive in their own way. Palikmana, the medicine of the butterflies. So butterflies obviously being a metaphor for transformation. And the butterfly goddess has this to share. On the wings of hope, butterfly Kachina guides you through an ending to the light of a new life within. It is your transition into a happier time of increased pleasure and delight, especially if you have experienced great struggle or loss. The spirit medicine of butterfly brings hopeful promise to your heart. Here's your sign that there will be happiness, peace, and light. Trust in the goodness of being birthed. So I like that a lot for this reading, obviously. I may come back to this to see what else may be relative as we continue to pull some cards here. So the question is, what are our choices? What are the unseen places that might be preventing us from making the higher choices that lead to this ease and grace and time of prosperity? And we get the visualize success card. So this is our action card. See yourself doing well and have faith in the positive outcome. I've really felt this a lot, just how quickly we are actually manifesting. Sometimes it's instant, and then sometimes it's taking days, months, years for it to fully develop and mature. So I really receive this as a opportunity to, what am I trying to say here? To invest more in the practice of visualization, of tuning into the heart in visualization and feeling the feelings that come with whatever that desire, that longing is for you. And let's consult with this Mayan oracle deck. I've really enjoyed this deck. And the next card we have is the Lord of Corn. Corn for the Mayan was a huge staple for their society, for sustaining, for thriving. And being that we are in the spring and the summer, it is the time of starting to reap what we've sown. This one can take a little longer for me to find it because the book is split in half into Spanish. So the corn was the most important foodstuff for ancient Mexicans and continues as a base for many foods. Corn represents the relationship between humans and the plants that live on the earth. Just as plants are food for humans, eventually humans are food for the earth. When you draw this card, consider your relationship with the earth, the land, and the place you depend on for life. Are you in balance? Out of balance? Are you grateful for everything that gives its life for you to live? Remember that corn connects you to the divine as well to your roots and your essence. As I have been watching the solar energies and the Schumann resonance, which is affected by the solar energy and the cosmic radiation, there's been an incredible uptick in that activity. And in particular, in this last week, I feel like some of the personal things that I have experienced must be related to some of this collective about balance, about rooting, connection to the earth. You know, what is your equilibrium? What's throwing you out of homeostasis? What's throwing you out of balance? And let's just ask and see what could be some of the causes for imbalance and could limit us from living in this more abundant state of summer. Well, we've got a death card. And got the surrender card. Let's keep going. Death and surrender. Well, you ultimately have to surrender in order to die. I guess you don't have to, but it makes the process that much better. It makes it less painful and more transformative. I think that there is a saying that goes that transformation is just on the other side of surrender. I find that to be very true. So let's see how this comes together. The Wild Woman. And let's pull one from the light deck too. All right, so visualizing success and balance with the earth, this time of harvest. What are we still hanging on to? We're entering into this full moon, which is always a completion period. It's time to acknowledge what's dying, what's being returned to the earth. And, you know, in that, where are we not surrendering to the process? And is that holding us up in making this progress towards ease and harvest and abundance? The Wild Woman card, I mean, this reminds me a lot of summer, of like letting loose, letting go, being free. I think of even stallions when I think of this card. Let's see what it has to say. When the wild woman dances into your reading, she reminds you of the essence of authenticity and freedom. Divestead of all social constraints, divested of all social constraints and cultural conformity, the wild woman holds up a mirror to your essential self, the true essence of who you are and who you're meant to become. She was a reminder of the bright light within each of us that gets dimmed by the restrictions imposed upon us by the expectations of society. She reminds us that in order to be fully present to life, we must uncover that light and let it shine brightly, regardless of perceived consequences. So this is an indication to let your true self be shared with the world, to engage with the world. This is a symbol that your long-held dream is beginning to take root and wants to be expressed. Your authentic self doesn't fit in a box. It needs the freedom to shine. The medicine of this card. Excess for its own sake is a sign of imbalance. This is a warning that you may be trapped in obsessive thinking or behavior, looking for release in places that will never provide it. Let go, lest you become like the hungry ghosts of Chinese Buddhist lore that can never be fulfilled. True release comes from trusting the fluidity of life, understanding that just as a river needs its banks to flow through, so too do you need boundaries around your thinking and behavior. Now is time to simplify, be mindful, and connect with the light within. Well, this fits in really nicely, as what I'm receiving from it is that we may have already started some process of change in our life, and we're being directed to continue to like stabilize in the visualization of the success of the project or of the situation, and to keep that in the forefront, and to really use like the inner child innocence and creativity to charge that vision, and to let it be the leader in the development of it in your life, and that it requires you to be fully yourself, to surrender the fears, the judgments around how you will be perceived, how you even are perceiving yourself, you're perceiving the matter, and letting that part of yourself die. Letting that part of yourself go, letting the part of you that insists on being small and hidden and quiet and compromised, letting that go and just choosing to stand up and be who you are in the moment, especially in, I'm getting around confrontation, around like ultimate confrontation because of you voicing your needs, or you just voicing your opinion or your thought in places where it has not been validated, where it has not been allowed, where it hasn't been safe. And you just choosing to override your own fear and judgments around what you may lose because of standing up for yourself, speaking up for yourself, showing up for yourself, surrendering to know that there's more than enough to go around. If you lose something or someone because you honor your own needs or your own, just yourself, honoring your being and your soul, then don't let the fear of there won't be someone else drive you away from showing up. There will always be something better. In fact, a lot of the time, that's what this death and surrender card is. And it's part of the visualization. Because in order for new things to arrive, old things have to go. And sometimes that means that we have to sacrifice relationships and jobs and institutes. It could be a whole number of things that are moving in your life right now to bring you better health, to bring you more of what life is made out of. Like I think of the corn, it's put into so many different things, right? We have like chips and tortillas and dishes that we use it in. And for the Mexican and Mesoamerican, it's used in a variety of different things, many I just don't even know about. So it represents like a base, like a base product, a base resource that can be turned into a lot of different things. But we may be preventing that just by hanging on to what we're afraid of, hanging on to just holding back from the world, holding in. So if you've been presented with an opportunity to do something that makes you a little uncomfortable, that takes you past your edge and out of the comfort zone, do it. And that's what this says, is do it. And even if your voice trembles or your body shakes or you cry, like sometimes that is just the way that energy, that anxiety, and that fear has to move through the body. But you stay conscious with your intention. You stay present with your visualization. And you enact that anyway. You create a new response by essentially confronting the old pattern, confronting the old vibration. So, yeah, I sense that, let's see, will this be an easier time to do this? Everything is supporting this change, supporting death. What? Give us a little bit more insights. Yes. The answer is yes. So this is the Lemurian card, creating heaven on her earth. It's happening. We are creating it, even if it's hard to see, it's hard to recognize. It's important that we stay focused on this visualized success. And I will read a little bit from this card. Bear with me because this is not like it doesn't go in order. I have to actually reference certain parts to find it. Lemuria, or Mu, is one of the Earth's lost lands where heaven really was a place on Earth. A time before we were kicked out of the Garden of Eden. In Lemuria, life worked in harmony. All beings were seen as equal, and we were deeply reverent to Mother Earth. We knew that a mosquito was no worse than us, and the sun no better. Perhaps you too believe that heaven really can be a place on Earth. Perhaps you are a part of the transition team who at a soul level are devoted to creating this kind of harmony on the planet now. Thank you for wanting to do this work. It's easy to get overwhelmed by the state of affairs on the planet right now, but you are being encouraged to keep holding the clear vision of the future. It is closer than you think. You may be guided to hold the frequency of Lemuria in your own community, family, workplace, or within yourself. Know that it is possible, and while at times it may feel like you are alone, you truly are not. Keep doing what you are doing, and remember, the only way to heal the world around us is to first heal ourselves. Yes, yes. And when we started, this card fell out. This Alacoa. I probably butchered that. Alakwa. It's spirit of the warrior. And its message is, though you yearn for peace, you recognize that without truth, genuine peace can never be. Even if it triggers an upheaval of transformation, the need to set things right is strong in you. This is the inner drive of the spiritual warrior, the compelling soul need to uphold truth, goodness, and justice. You will fight for those things because that is your way, spirit warrior. Trust, see, and feel the positive impact that you are making in the world. You are relentless, and the divine is with you. All right, so a recap with this overall energy is supportive for positive transformation, for ease, for fluidity, for positivity. I think I already said that. But for that transformation of where you go from just being a caterpillar, being in the pupa, to now having wings and being a whole new being who expresses itself differently, who lives from a different point of view. And that continuing the practices like a child when they would dream of what Christmas would be like or what their birthday may be like, using that innocence, that charge from the pure part of the heart to visualize the success of whatever it is that you're hoping to receive. And to be open to the different ways that you might be able to utilize some of the resources that you currently already have. Maybe that you are reaping from the spring and from the plant even of last fall, just intentionally, the intentions that you planted. And letting go the part of you that prevents all of that, the critic that continues to tell you that that's not possible, that you need to focus on other things, that you're wasting your time, or that you'll be rejected, no one will ever love you, that it will ultimately cause you more pain, more struggle to stand up for yourself, to show up, to speak honestly, and to be just in that. You know, when you see injustice, and that means for yourself, that means the way that you were treated by others, as well as out in the world, when we see others, including animals and plants, when we see something mistreated and it stirs the movement inside of us, that's our soul trying to speak to us. We have to face the fear and stand up and do the honest and respectable thing, which is to use our voice and to use it wisely. And in that we can live more freely, more authentically. And it's only when we do that we can create the heaven on earth. We all came with a very specific purpose, just like how every organ in the body has its own job. And, you know, despite what Western medicine thinks, and I know it's proved to be helpful in, let's say you lose a kidney or, you know, a gallbladder. Yes, your body can still function. It will not function optimally though. And that's the same process for us. If we're not really fully showing up in our power and how we're created to be in the world, we're not meant to fit in a box. You're not meant to fit in this society. This society is dying. It is crumbling. It needs to go. Look where it has taken us. It is in decomposition. So you need to stand out. You need to be the weird one. You need to be the one with the different kooky, crazy, woo-woo ideas. That's actually more real than most of the things that we've created here in the last century. Just my opinion. So in that, we have to embrace that process of surrender. Be willing to meet the change so that we can become the butterfly. Be willing to participate as a unique organism in the whole creation. Because when one organ isn't functioning properly, then every other organ is inhibited too, and there's a loss of that balance. So find where you're out of balance, where you're out of rhythm with nature, with your nature. What is your nature? Is your nature to be outside more, but you're stuck in an office? Or is your nature to be joyful and light, but maybe your partner is negative and I don't know, negative, and you can come up with what other adjectives go with that for you. But just looking at where you're not in your own natural rhythm. And it changes. Just be mindful that your rhythm is changing, particularly around the seasons. So we have a few weeks until the summer solstice, but you may start to notice some of that shifting already taking place, and particularly around this full moon. This full moon it's the portal for letting go, for revitalization, for completion, and identifying these parts of the self, letting them be illuminated and releasing them without judgment, and just choosing a new pattern, visualizing the success. So I hope you enjoyed this reading. If you haven't already, please subscribe, hit the notification bell for more, and hit like so the algorithms pick this up and that it's shared with more people. As always, I love to hear about how this energy is affecting you, and anything that you would like to share about the reading and how it presented to you, what your interpretations are. I always love to see it, and I thank you so much always for being here with me, for sharing this space, sharing this planet, and for showing up to do the work that we are all doing. And I bid you a namaste, a pura vida, live pure and keep it simple.